What's up, nerds and nerdettes? Welcome back to another episode of The Pull. I'm your host, AJ Kunze. This is the most packed week of comics we've had since I started doing this show, so we really can't afford to waste any time. So, blah, 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 joke, blah, 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 swear word, charm, transition to comics. It's shout-out time! Want to give a shout-out to Thomas Flynn II, or possibly Thomas Flynn LL. In the comment section of one of my videos, he recommended that I read Cluster, and I did, and I love it. You are a very smart man, Thomas Flynn II. I'm going to hire you to do my taxes. In the future, if you commit a crime, you can either choose to go to prison, or you can go choose to fight in the space army, and the space wars in space. The prison colonies on this planet, you train as a soldier there, and then you fight wars on that planet. Now, in order to keep the soldiers in line, the prison implants chips in their chests. So if they go out of bounds or disobey orders, their chest explodes like a big old gory firecracker. The main character has been sent to Space War prison for a reason that I'm not going to spoil. But the thing you need to know is she's the daughter of an Earth senator. Now, the people who run the prison are trying to use her as a bargaining chip, manipulate her and her father for funding for their evil space plans. The problem is, during one of her Space War battle fights, she gets stranded out in the wilderness. What a twist! But to add a twist to that twist, she's out of bounds, so she has only 24 hours to get back to the prison before her chest firecracker goes off. This setup does a really great job of building tension through the story. Her and other prisoners are lost in this alien wilderness, and the clock is ticking until their torso busts open like a hot dog bun. But the hot dog's made of lungs and heart and pleura and just goo. Cluster is really good at approaching kind of ideas from a very non-comic booky place, sci-fi elements aside. It really understands how to do female characters. They're strong and independent and flawed. These look like real people, not a pile of breasts and butts. Last week I talked about how Big Red 1 betrayed their strong female character by making her strongest personality trait her clitoris. All this strong character work is occurring simultaneously with some really strong science fiction world building. Now on the show I do a lot of praise for Image, but I'm making a prediction here. Boom Studios has been putting out a lot of really great books. They're also making some really smart business moves behind the scenes. Don't be surprised if in the next 5 years it's not Marvel, DC, and Image, it's Marvel, DC, Image, and Boom. So ever so slowly, they're taking over more of the comic book world, and it's worth paying attention to them now, because frankly, some of the best books out there have Boom on the cover. I knew at some point I was going to have to talk about God Hates Astronauts. I don't think I'm ready, and I don't think I'll ever be ready. This is one of those real anti-humor books. How can I describe it? Imagine if someone took all the bumpers from Adult Swim and made a comic book out of it. This is some of the most irreverent and strange humor you will ever have. Basically, the craziest group of superheroes you could possibly imagine has been hired by NASA to stop a bunch of farmers from launching rocket ships into space for space farmer reasons. No motivations have to make sense. This is a ridiculous world with mutated bear soldiers, a Superman haunted by a ghost robot cow, narrated by a 3D ghost cowboy, though in this issue he's fired and he's replaced by comic book writer Charles Soule, or at least a very poorly photoshopped version of him. What jokes aren't random are pun-based. That sounds like painfully awful comedy, but it's so well executed and relentless it can't help but be lovable. If you pick up God Hates Astronauts and you hate it, then stop trying to be like God. If you don't like it, I get it. It's a very weird, irreverent book, and the population of people who find it appetizing is going to be small, but I'm one of them. It's good. It's funny. It makes me giggle. So if you don't like it, there's like 700 Batman books. Go read one of those. Spider-Gwen, number 3. Spider-Gwen's still good. Keep reading it. The Dying and the Dead. This is the latest series from my man crush, Jonathan Hickman. It's hard to build a new world in comic books. You have 22 pages to explain the history of the universe, to introduce characters and their motivations, and to lay the groundwork for the path that we're going to follow through the entire series. Oh, and by the way, you have to make it charming enough and interesting that people are going to buy the next issue. The concept that Hickman really understands in the process of setting up Dying and the Dead. Writers are not gods. It's not their job to build universes from nothing. It's their job to tell a story. And that's what Hickman does. He gets right to the point. He doesn't worry about the minutia, the universe building on this larger universe. He tells the story and lets the universe coagulate around it. So that means there's a lot still unexplained about Dying of the Dead. But I'll try my best to make a sense of I'll try my best to make sense of all the little hints he's given us so far. It's 1969 and a bunch of veterans of World War II have been drawn into the secret cloak and daggery affairs of a city of immortals hidden below the desert in Texas. Now these immortals have some sort of history with these old soldiers and not a lot of information is given. The writer does a really great job of making you feel like you're just watching a story rather than having something explained to you. You almost feel like a voyeur, like you're sneakily watching someone through a window or from behind a bush. Everything is very organic and the story kind of hurls ahead, not concerned about explaining or talking down to its reader. Issue number 2 this week is kind of about all these old soldiers kind of coming back together over 25 years after they fought side by side in World War II. Basically, this is an entire book populated by various versions of Clint Eastwood from Gran Torino. Hickman builds his world not through narrating things to us, but by showing us things. The isolation of the church in the desert that the city hides beneath, or how buildings hang from tree roots in the city, and how they're shaped like old Mayan pyramids, gives us more detail about the history of this world than an explanation ever could. So many series try to start off with these huge blocks of text or narration or a character explaining how they got where they were. The Dying and the Dead goes right into it. It hurtles forward, solving mysteries and giving us new ones at the same pace. Hickman is coming to the end of a lot of his Marvel work, so that means more independent stuff for us. If we get more stuff like Manhattan Projects, The Dying and the Dead, and East of West, then I'm going to have to start selling my body to make money to pay for comic books. And as you can tell, I have an exquisite body. So the good news is I'll be able to afford a lot of comic books. Be all yours for $13.
If you tell anybody about our little secret, I'll kill your dog.
So Black Science is back. This used to be my favorite book, and it went through this really weird lull where it just kind of spun around in circles and kept introducing new, more complicated ideas without ever moving the plot forward. Well, guess what? We're fucking moving forward now. Things move so fast in this issue, you feel as panicked as the characters. Rick Remender is good for introducing these big, huge, ridiculously crazy ideas and then punching right to the heart of a thing. This issue is a perfect illustration of that. Things keep building, getting more intense, crazier and crazier, and then it punches you right in your heart's dick, and you're left feeling drained and beaten and, well, you're left feeling something, which anytime a piece of art can make you do that, then it's worth paying attention to. If you fell off Black Science, go back, catch up real quick, and get back on board, because it's as good as it's ever been. So that's going to do it for the episode of The Pull. If there's a book you want to hear me talk about, go ahead and suggest it to me in the comments below, and maybe I'll read it. And then you too can be as cool as Thomas Flynn II. Not possible. Also, make sure you like us on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. Been having a lot of conversations with fans, and those conversations are actually starting to inspire some of the videos I'm doing. If there's an issue going on in the industry that you really want to talk about that means something to you, hit me up. We'll talk about it, and who fuck knows? Maybe it'll turn into a video that literally 100 people will see. I want to thank you guys for watching this video and for the engagement and interest you seem to be having in this channel's content. We're getting a lot of likes, a lot of comments, a lot of feedback, a lot of people who seem generally interested in starting a community, and it's like the best feeling in the world. I'm having a hell of a time, guys, and thank you for being on this ride with me. Anyway, if you had a good time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. For every new subscriber we get, I will donate $1 to the Libertarian Party. Make sure you come back next week and every week until the end of time for a new episode of The Pull. Now get out of here and go read comics.